The theme for this week is letting go of who you thought you had to be. And we have some major transits of identity shifts happening this week. Ketu entering Magha, we'll talk about. It's a very significant transit affecting us for the next several months. Mercury's debilitated in Pisces. This is a more short-term thing, but it's going to make challenges for communication, and we'll talk about that this week. Mars and Mercury in Revati Nakshatra. This is a closure kind of energy, ending a chapter of the story and letting go of a new layer of identity through this cycle. So it's a profound energy of disillusion, release, letting go, closure this week, and releasing old identities. I'm Jeremy Devins. This is the Quietmind Astrology podcast. If you're new here, get your free birth chart at quietmindastrology.com. So the first big thing to talk about this week is Ketu in Magha, and this is Ketu in its own nakshatra, and Magha rules the ego, status, lineage, ancestors, things that we are born into, things that come from the past, and that are inherited in some form. Ketu brings detachment and release from all of those things. So anything that you've just sort of been born into, inherited, taken on as identity from society, from family, from the past, this is a time of reevaluation and reassessment of all of that. Not just this week, but it's starting this week, and it's going to carry over throughout many more months. So this is about dropping the masks that you wear so that you can be more of your true self, shedding outdated roles and titles and things that are just sort of external or superficial or status driven, so that you can connect more to like what really matters for you. You no longer need to try to prove yourself with this energy. This is more about just being yourself rather than proving yourself. So I'll share an example of this for me personally going on is I have Quietmind Yoga and Quietmind Astrology, these things I've offered for many years now, and they've grown into separate things, but I've chosen to bring them back into one thing. So there's an identity, a layer of a role I played is Quietmind Yoga, and a different role I play in Quietmind Astrology. And I still do both of those things. They're still a big part of me, but having to keep these things fully separated is something that just doesn't feel aligned anymore. And now having them together feels much more aligned. So there's some level of like disillusion, letting go of something that was familiar and working, but just an evolution was necessary. So you may be feeling something like this for yourself, some sort of evolution in some area of your life. You might want to check where the sign of Leo is in your chart. That's going to help with the houses and the main energies at play in that area of your life where Leo is. That's where this transit is happening. And it's over the next several months. So you may be wanting to look back at things to do with your family lineage, family history, your roles you've played, and reevaluate what is time to let go of. At the same time, this week, Mercury is going into its full debilitation in Pisces. So your Mercury could be debilitating all over the place this week. So you might be having miscommunications, misunderstandings, needing to reevaluate things. It's kind of similar to Mercury retrograde, but rather than the retrograde words of like reassessing, reviewing, redoing, it's the debilitation energies of not feeling fully understood, not being able to rely on logic so much. So logic and reason take more of a back seat over this week and next week, you could say, through this transit. Brain fog could be completely normal right now. So if you're having any sort of confusion, uncertainty, overwhelm, not thinking clearly, this is normal with Mercury and Pisces. So you may need to reevaluate things in general. This is not the time to try to figure everything out, to try to assess, analyze, logic your way through things. This is more of a time of feeling things out, and the mind is swimming in deep waters at this time of Pisces. Pisces is about the subconscious, it's intuition, it's the deeper feelings. Mercury is the logic, emotion, and communication. So having deeper dialogue in deeper emotional spaces is very helpful at this time. And going deeper emotionally of what's needed emotionally is very, very helpful right now. Journaling is very good. Like stream of conscious journaling can be very favorable during this transit. Your intuition is your best compass, and I talk about this a lot. Intuition is primary over everything else. People come to me a lot of times in astrology readings and want to know, like, just tell me what to do. Like, if you say I should move to this place, I'll move to that place. Or if you say I should do this, I'll do that. And I don't work that way. I think that's actually very disempowering. And I had this experience with my astrologer many years ago where I had a very important relationship decision. I wasn't sure what to do. And he didn't just tell me what to do. I really wanted him to just tell me what to do, but he didn't. And I am forever grateful to that, because if he just told me what to do, now I've learned to just be dependent on someone else to tell me what to do with my life. Instead, he encouraged me to come back to my intuition and trust my intuition and my inner guidance, and not make me dependent on him or anybody externally. He could help me, he could guide me, but he couldn't replace my inner authority unless I gave that to somebody, but he didn't take it, right? So a lot of people will take that, and that's where we get cults and very strong, polarized people. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to take anybody's will or their power. I just want to share what we see with astrology, see with the weather and the forecast, and what we can do with it. And you ultimately know what's best for you. So I would be very skeptical of anybody who says that they know what's best for you. But you know what's best. And if you're not sure, and this is the other thing that happens a lot, is people come to me and feel out of touch with their intuition, and they're not sure what they want, and they've kind of lost their way. So if that's the case, then it starts with smaller things, like what you want to eat, when you want to go to sleep, what you want to drink, how you want to spend your free time in your day. These kind of questions are stepping stones towards aligned action, towards knowing what you really want. And you've got to start small before coming to the bigger things sometimes. So that is one way to approach it. And also to just kind of turn off the distractions. And there is an episode several years back where I talked about how to know if something is intuition or if it's just like your mind. That's a good episode. It's still very relevant. You might want to check that one if this is something you're working with. But in short, your intuition is usually calm, quieter, stiller, more consistent, more reliable. And the distractions and noise are usually very fast, loud, abrupt, urgent. There's a sense of scarcity, fear driving them. But your intuition just kind of knows, and it's a lot more calm and steady. So this week and the next week as well, it's really kind of connecting back to what is that still quiet voice within. And the main way I find to get there is through meditation or yoga practice. And this is why I teach that as well. And that's what I teach in New Moon Alignment. And I talk a little bit about practices to do for each week over at the free guide for April. So quietmindastrology.com/April26. If you haven't gotten that already, check it out. I've had lots of amazing feedback on that. It's a cool resource to kind of work with the energy of each week this month. And Mars and Mercury are in Revati Nakshatra. This is the last Nakshatra of the zodiac and the final degrees. So there's an energy of completion and endings going on over the next week or two, essentially with this. And we've had the sun pass through here, the moon just passed through here. So there is a bit of this closure kind of energy happening on a lot of levels right now. Action of Mars happens through surrender. The big theme of April, finding your self-trust through surrender, your strength through surrender this month. Check out the recent episodes if you haven't seen that. And Mars in Revati is about this, learning when to let go. Your thinking is more focused on closure, completion, and endings with Mercury in Revati now. So also this can bring a lot of intuition and insights when you create space for that, which means less distractions of the phone and external stimuli and more internal space to hear that intuition of Mercury, of that guidance from within. Mars is saying to take action towards things that create space and letting go for you. And when these work together, we can have a very strong intuitive insights. And actually a very good energy with this is martial arts, if any of you are into that, or Tai Chi or Qigong. This is like a physical action that's very spiritual in nature. Vinyasa, Hatha Yoga also fit this as well very much. And it's a good time for bringing completion to things that have been incomplete or unresolved in general. So it's like closure of the past in some way. As we are now in the solar new year, we had the lunar new year last month. So we are very much in the new year. And especially those of you going into spring season now, you really feel it. But we are bringing some closure this week to things of the past and taking action towards our spiritual purposes and bringing more of our thinking and logic into our intuition. Things to avoid this week, as I've mentioned, like holding on to old past titles or ways of doing things or achievements of the past, clinging on to those things and not letting them go. Forcing logical, highly structured decisions right now is not the best. So if you need to like manage something very complex and technical, maybe better to do that after this week. Pushing through physical exhaustion, also not so good this week. So listen to your body. And fighting the natural disillusion and letting go of things. So there's a natural needing to hold on that happens a lot of times when things are being let go. But it is the time to practice aparigraha, non-grasping. And if you feel lost or confused or brain fog, again, that's normal this week. So just being compassionate with yourself. And aligned practices are journaling without filtering, extremely conscious, like I mentioned, deep rest and nervous system care, like I mentioned, in the surrender kind of energy of Pisces. And grief is a healthy, natural emotion this week of letting go of old versions of yourself, old identities, allowing that old identity to dissolve peacefully. And just trusting the void, trusting the unknown and the space that's created in the release of the past as we move forward into a higher level of self-trust and strength by the end of this month. And these themes are going to be playing out actually for many more months now, as Ketu's in Magha for a while. So this is a long-term influence. And basically, it's a continual evolution of yourself and where you fit in your family lineage and the roles that you play, the identities you play, and what is no longer serving this next chapter of your life. Is time to let it go this week and grieve that process, create space for nervous system regulation, do some stream of conscious journaling to process and digest that, and create space to move into next week, which is actually a pretty powerful moving forward kind of energy next week we'll talk about. So to integrate and digest all of this, it's important to remember this week you're not losing yourself. You're actually connecting deeper to your true self. You're clearing the slate for the future and letting old expectations and go and old resentments go to make space for the real you and your true self. If you want to go deeper with this, with your own reading, you can go to quietmindastrology.com and book a reading with me there, one-on-one. And if you want practices to work with this based on your own astrology and community to support you along the way, check out New Moon Alignment at quietmindastrology.com/new moon. Hope you have a beautiful week and look forward to sharing more with you next time on the Quiet Mind Astrology Podcast.